Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that literally captures the human imagination like nothing else, the classic David versus Goliath story. In team sports, and especially in football, there's absolutely nothing quite as electrifying as watching a massive, seemingly invincible favorite get toppled by an underdog nobody even gave a chance. I mean, we all crave that kind of magic, right? We're going to explore 3 of the absolute greatest upsets in the history of the sport, looking at exactly how these teams defied logic, shattered all expectations, and etched their names into history.
Just take a look at this single staggering number, 5,000. Keep that in the back of your mind as we go on this journey today. In the realm of sports betting and pure statistical probability, 5,000 to 1 isn't just an underdog, it's practically a mathematical impossibility. It represents a scenario so totally absurd that bookmakers essentially offer it as a joke. To put that into perspective, bookmakers were actually giving better odds on Elvis being found alive, seriously. But, as you'll see later in this explainer, sometimes the impossible actually happens. And when it does, it rewrites the rules of the game forever.
Let's kick things off with Part 1, 1954, and the legendary miracle of Bern. You know, to truly understand the sheer magnitude of a historic underdog, we first have to look at the terrifying dominance of the favorite they had to overcome. On one side, you had Hungary's golden team, the mighty Magyars. These guys were the undisputed heavyweights of global football. They came into this final riding a ridiculous 31-game unbeaten streak. They were the reigning Olympic champions, playing as full-time professionals, and they had just famously thrashed England 7-1 before the tournament. And on the other side, West Germany. They were essentially unfancied tournament guests, fielding a squad of part-time semi-professionals who are still dealing with the immense real-world post-World War II rebuilding of their nation. To make matters even worse, earlier in the group stage of this exact tournament, Hungary had already utterly dismantled West Germany by a score of 8-3. Literally, nobody gave the Germans a prayer.
So let's walk through how this absolute miracle unfolded on the pitch. The match kicks off in the pouring rain at Wankdorf Stadium. And within just 8 minutes, the script seems completely set in stone. Ferenc Puskás scores at the 6-minute mark, and then Zoltán Zibor doubles it at 8 minutes. It's 2-0 Hungary, and it looks like another absolute thrashing is on the cards. But then, the unthinkable happens. West Germany miraculously claws their way back into it. Helmut Rahn equalizes at the 18-minute mark. Then, as the game just grinds on in the mud and rain, with only 6 minutes left on the clock, Rahn strikes again. He scores the winning goal at 84 minutes. West Germany wins 3-2, completely shattering Hungary's golden streak.
Now, an upset of this massive scale rarely comes without some historical scrutiny, right? In the aftermath, controversies definitely swirled. First, there was a disallowed goal by Hungary's Puskás late in the game. Eyewitness accounts actually still differ on whether he was offside, and honestly, the TV footage from back then just isn't clear enough to say for sure. Then, rumors started emerging regarding the German team and performance-enhancing substances, especially after several players later fell ill with jaundice. But the German team physician, Franz Lühin, steadfastly maintained that the players were giving vitamin C, nothing else. It is worth noting here, just as a matter of historical record, that doping was not actually illegal in 1954. FIFA only introduced controls in 1966. We're just looking at the source material here to understand the full, intensely debated picture of this legendary match.
The really crucial takeaway here is that this single game completely transcended the sport, leaving behind some profoundly divergent socio-political legacies. For West Germany, the miracle of Bern deeply contributed to a sense of regained international recognition and psychological healing after the absolute devastation of the Second World War. It was a hugely unifying, joyous moment for them. But for Hungary, the sudden and shocking defeat of their beloved, invincible team sparked deep societal discontent. In fact, historians often point to this loss as a contributing factor in the buildup of frustration against the communist authoritarian regime, which eventually boiled over into the 1956 Hungarian Revolution.
Okay, moving on to Part 2, Euro 2004, and a true defensive masterclass. Jumping forward exactly 50 years, we hit a completely new era of impossible odds on the European stage, and the magic number this time? 100. Before the Euro 2004 tournament even kicked off, bookmakers gave Greece 100-1 anti-post odds to win the whole thing. And why wouldn't they? Historically, Greece were footballing minnows. They had never, in their entire history, won a single match at a major international tournament. Everyone completely expected them to just bow out at the very earliest group stage.
Well, just look at the absolute gauntlet of footballing royalty they had to slay to pull this off. This wasn't some easy draw. They were placed right into a group with Spain and Russia, plus the tournament host, Portugal. Then, getting into the knockout stages, they had to face France, the reigning champions. After that, a semifinal against a heavily favored, incredibly dangerous Czech Republic side. And the final, they had to face the tournament host, Portugal, all over again. It was just a relentless, grueling march against the most potent attacking teams in the world.
So how on earth did they do it? Well, their manager, Otto Rehagel, deployed this somewhat archaic but incredibly rigid man-marking system with a sweeper. It was a tactic that modern teams had almost forgotten how to play against. They didn't go out there playing expansive, flowing football. They played to frustrate. By remaining incredibly compact and defensively disciplined, they successfully neutralized the elite attacking talents of France, the Czech Republic, and Portugal. They famously beat the host twice, once in the opener and once in the final to take the trophy. It was a total triumph of a collective tactical system over individual superstars.
Which brings us to Part 3, The Impossible Dream, Leicester City 2016.
This brings us right back to that 5,000 to 1 number from the very beginning and into the relentless, money-driven grind of modern club football. Picture the Premier League landscape back in 2015. You have this massive financial and historical chasm. On one side, you've got the traditional heavyweights, the giant clubs of London and Manchester, backed by literal billionaires, fielding star-studded, incredibly expensive rosters. On the other side, you have Leicester City, a small club that had only just barely maintained their Premier League status on the final day of the previous season. Going into the year, they were universally tipped as heavy favorites for relegation.
But then, this specific cast of heroes came together to form an absolutely unstoppable unit. First, the club brought in manager Claudio Ranieri, a veteran who a lot of pundits honestly considered past his prime, to replace Nigel Pearson. But Ranieri found the perfect alchemy. He unleashed N'Golo Kanté, whose tireless work rate made him look like he was two players out there in the midfield. He unlocked the sheer creative brilliance of Riyad Mahrez on the wing. And up front, Jamie Vardy delivered this relentless, record-breaking goal-scoring run. Playing a lethal, rapid counterattacking style, these individual pieces linked up and just defied the billionaires week after week.
The legacy of Leicester's grueling 38-game triumph is really hard to overstate. It quite literally changed football betting forever. Bookmakers were so historically burned by paying out on this 5,000 to 1 miracle that the entire industry had to adjust. Analysts pretty much agree that we will likely never, ever see outright odds that high given to a team in a major league again. No way. They proved that over the course of a long, exhausting season, heart, brilliant scouting, and unstoppable momentum can actually beat financial giants.
From the muddy fields of Bern in 1954 to the defensive walls of Greece in 2004, all the way to the magical run of Leicester City in 2016, these stories matter because they give us hope. They prove that the established order isn't always what it's cracked up to be. The math can be wrong, the experts can absolutely be wrong. So I'll leave you with this to think about. When will the next impossible miracle strike? And who will be the David to shatter the established Goliath? Keep watching, because if history tells us anything, it's only a matter of time.